Hi everyone, my name's Jen, I'm an author and a book reviewer, and today I had loosely planned to do my end of month wrap up because the day this is going up is Sunday the 1st of October. However, the day I'm filming this is a couple of days prior to that, and I still have a couple of books I want to finish, so let's save that till next week because we don't want to rush things. And instead today I am here with a book haul, but a book haul with a bit of a twist in that there is a slight theme in that many of these books are new books by some of my favourite authors, some of whom I didn't realise had new books coming out, which is very exciting and maybe exciting to you as well. So some of these books I've bought, some of these I have been gifted. I will list them in the description box down below so you can go and find out more if you would like to. Let's just dive in. First off, Coralie Bickford Smith has a new book out, and let us remind ourselves that picture books are for everybody and not just for children. Her first picture book was The Fox and the Star. I have all of her books. I think The Fox and the Star remains my favourite, but I have a feeling this one is going to give it a run for its money. She's also the person who designs all of the Penguin cloth-bound classics, which I know will be familiar to you. Here is a picture so you can re-familiarise yourselves with those. But this is her latest. It's called The Squirrel and the Lost Treasure, and it's about a squirrel who buries who buries an acorn in the autumn and then in the winter can't find it. And I think it goes through into spring as well. I just love all the prints that she does. The colour palettes are so beautiful. In fact, the colour palette for the beginning of this book, the most autumnal thing you ever did see, is very much reminiscent of Fox and the Star. And then yes, it does move into spring, which reminds me of one of her other books as well. I don't want to show you too many things in here, but it's just so pretty. Here is Squirrel. Lovely. So I will be reading this one very shortly. So my plan is to do wrap up next Sunday, and then I'll have a couple of reading vlogs coming your way. I would like to do, if all goes to plan, a cozy-ish reading vlog, as in reading this, maybe reading a Persephone or a classic, I don't know, something that screams autumn but isn't Halloween based. And then I also want to do a Halloween vlog as well with some Halloween baking. This is a book that I am already reading. I will have finished it by next Sunday, so I will give it my official stamp of approval next Sunday in case it all goes downhill, because I'm only halfway through, but I don't envisage that happening. So far, this book is making my heart and soul just so warm. I think it's the perfect book for this time of year, and this is Impossible Creatures by Katherine Rundell. So my pre-finished stamp of approval to this one, a tentative stamp of approval. This is about a boy called Christopher, who has always had this really strong connection with animals. They seem to follow him around lots of places. His dad is cross about this. And then during the holidays, he goes to stay with his granddad in Scotland. And meanwhile, we are following Mal, who is a girl who lives in this place where all mythical, magical creatures still exist. It appears to be very separate to our world. And then their paths collide. This is a middle grade book, and it is giving me younger His Dark Materials feelings. That's how I feel about it so far. It's also making me feel the same way I think Nevermore makes other people feel, those who really love it. I was never able to fall in love with that series, unfortunately, because it felt a bit too derivative for me. Obviously, this has nods to other fantasy books as well, but it feels very much its own thing. It feels like it's oozing. Oozing's not a very nice word. Anyway, oozing with confidence. And I can picture everything so well. As I said, I'm listening to this. Did I say I was listening to this? I'm listening to this. And the audiobook narration is amazing. It's narrated by Samuel West. So I would very much recommend the audiobook as well. Next, we have a novel from Olga Brown, whose book The Employees is one of my favourite books of this year so far. This is called My Work, and it is translated from the Danish by Sophia Hersey-Smith and Jennifer Russell. This one seems like it's going to be quite different from The Employees, which was a sci-fi book about humanoids and humans who live on a spaceship and encounter these weird egg-shaped things in space, which they all fall in love with, and which cause them to question their humanity or lack of humanity. This one is about motherhood. It's a novel about a woman called Anna who, after she gives birth, it says, feels utterly lost. She and her family moved to the unfamiliar, snowy city of Stockholm. So that makes me think maybe I should read it autumn, winter time. Anxiety threatens to completely engulf the new mother, who obsessively devours online news and compulsively buys clothes she can't afford. To avoid sinking deeper into her depression, Anna forces herself to read and to write. Saying that this is very different to The Employees, on the surface it is, but when I was reading The Employees, it really felt like an extended metaphor or allegory for IVF. It was definitely talking about mothering things and caring for things other than ourselves. And as I said, it was at its heart about what it means to be human, to be alive. I can see this covering similar topics, just in a very different way. So that one was another favourite. Then what do we have? Oh yes, we have this, which is coming out in February. This is Has Anyone Seen Charlotte Salter by Nikki French. This is a proof, and what amuses me a little bit is that this book is already out in mainland Europe. It's already been translated. You can already get it in, I think, Dutch, in French, in many, many different languages. Their books tend to come out in other languages before they come out here in English, even though they live here and were written in English. So when I showed this in a vlog recently, when it arrived in the post, I had a few messages from people saying, Jen, I think that's already out because I've already read it. And I was like, no, you've just read it because it's available in your language, but we have to wait. So this one is coming out in February. It is a crime book. Nikki French, one of my favourite crime writers. You know this. We all know this. I've talked about it enough. And this is set over two time periods, one in the 1990s, where a family whose mother is Charlotte Salter goes missing. And then near the modern day, I think, is the other section where a true crime podcast is investigating her disappearance because that mystery was never solved. I know that including podcasts in crime books at the moment is a bit of a trend, but it's one that I can get behind. I enjoy it. Michel Faber has a new book out. This one is one I know that he's been working on for years. Michel has always been obsessed with music, so this is a non-fiction book about music called Listen on Music, Sound and Us. And the tagline says that he's not here to change your mind about certain singers. He says, I'm here to change your mind about your mind. So this is about what we feel and think of when we listen to music, why we listen to music. It says to answer these questions, he considers biology, age, illness, the notion of cool commerce, the dichotomy between good and bad taste, and through extensive interviews with musicians, unlocks some surprising answers. So if that one sounds up your street, that might be one to pick up. And then a book that is coming out on Thursday as you're watching this, and one that I have on pre-order, is a new book from Jeanette Winterson. I'm particularly excited by this because this is a collection of ghost stories, and I loved her book Christmas Days, which was also a collection of ghost stories, though themed around Christmas. So I plan to read this in my Halloween type vlog, hopefully. So it says, this is a genre-bending and masterful new collection of ghost stories from Jeanette Winterson. Our lives are digital, exposed and always on. We track our friends and family wherever they go. We have millennia of knowledge at our fingertips. We know everything about our world, but we know nothing about theirs. We have changed, but our ghosts have not. They've simply adapted and innovated, found new channels to reach us. They inhabit our apps and wander the metaverse just as they haunt our homes and our memories, always seeking new ways to connect, to live among us, to remind us, to tempt us, to take their revenge. These stories are not ours to tell. They are the stories of the dead, of those we've lost, loved, forgotten and feared. Some are fiction, but some may not be. So I love that. The title of the book, because I forgot to say that, is Night Side of the River, and it is out on the 5th of October. Okay, so those are new books by some of my favourite authors, but then I also have some new books about some of my favourite subjects and also from some of my favourite publishers. I have two books from Persephone. They publish forgotten classics, mainly written by women. The first one is Sophia Petrovna by Lydia Tchaikovskaya, and this is translated from the Russian by Eileen Worth. This was originally published in, written in the 1940s, then published in France, I think in the 1960s. And Lydia wrote this after her husband disappeared during Stalin's purges. And I think this is a novelized version of that. And then they have also sent me this, which is a book that they're publishing soon called Out of the Window by Madeline Linford. This one they're publishing on October the 26th. And let me read you the blurb. It says, Out of the Window begins when Ursula, the indulged daughter of an affluent middle-class doctor living in a village in Cheshire, attends a neighbour's party. There she meets Kenneth, an engineer from Manchester who is raising money for the wives and children of local miners striking for better working conditions. This was first published in the 1930s, I should say. It says it is a quietly radical 1930 novel about sexual attraction by the first editor of The Guardian's women's page. So these two characters, Kenneth and Ursula, they see each other across a room at a party, they fall in love, they decide to get married against their parents' wishes because they are from different classes. But then when they come back to live together after they have got married, it says they quickly realise that marriage does not only involve love, but also housework. And this, I think, is very much inspired by Lady Chatterley's Lover, which was published the year before this was written. Then we have a memoir. This is The View from Down Here, Life as a Disabled Woman, and this is by Lucy Webster. You know that I'm always keen to read more disability memoirs, and this one is giving me Rebecca Talzig, which, you know, thrills me because Sitting Pretty is one of my favourite books. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what Lucy has to say on this subject. And then this is a book that's on kind of my favourite topic, or one of my favourite topics. It's Chlorine by Jade Song, and this was recommended to me by Holly over at Holly Dunn Design. She sent me a message and said, Jen, I've just finished reading this, I think you will love it. It's a queer mermaid story with body horror. So this is about a school, I think, or some kind of weird culty place where you can become a mermaid, but I don't think there's any magic involved. I think, as I said, it is mostly body horror. I think it is literal transformation of bodies. I think it's supposed to be a bit gross, very stressful, full of feminist rage, and those are all ticks for me. Yes, please. So maybe one I will also read in my Halloween vlog because it's giving me scary vibes as well as weird and wonderful. Perhaps in a similar vein, we've got Paradise Rot by Jenny Haval, which is not a new release. This came out, when did you come out? It was first published in English in 2018, so this is translated from the Norwegian by Marjam Idris, and this is about a woman called Jo who travels to a strange country. It says that she's having a peculiar time living in a house with no walls, shared with a woman who has no boundaries, and she finds her strange homecoming to life in unimaginable ways. Her sensitivity and all her senses become increasingly heightened and fraught as the lines between body and plants, dreaming and wakefulness blur and mesh. Definitely sounds like my cup of tea. And another one that's doing the rounds with Halloween vibes is Bluebeard's Castle by Anna Biller. It's about a woman called Judith who is a successful novelist with an overactive imagination, and she meets a baron called Gavin at a wedding on the Cornish coast, and his love transforms her overnight. After a whirlwind honeymoon in Paris, he whisks her away to a secluded Gothic castle, but soon her perfect marriage begins to fall apart. She finds herself trapped in a nightmare as her husband's mysterious nature and his alternation of charm and violence become increasingly frightening. So obviously this is based on the fairy tale Bluebeard. So again, this is screaming many of my favourite things. I have been sent this collection of poetry by Saskia Hamilton called All Souls. It's pretty difficult to sum up most poetry collections. Some of them have a strong narrative through, but it's much easier to talk about that once you have read them. But I think that this collection centres on memory in various different ways, and I read some sample poems before accepting it for review and was intrigued by it. Then I was sent this from Charco Press, who publish lots of work mainly from South America. This is The Delivery by Margarita Garcia Raballo, which is translated from the Spanish by Megan McDowell, and this is a novel from Colombia. And I don't know if it's literal what it says on the back. We will find out when I read it, but it says it is about a person who has a tolerable, ordinary life, adequate if boring, and in the middle of their apartment is this big parcel that arrived days ago that's getting in their way that they haven't opened yet. And then the beginning of the next paragraph says, in the delivery, what's inside this box is your estranged mother, and her arrival brings to a head the tentative motions you've made to examine the past and the subtle fissures in the life you have built. So is it literally the mother? Is it her body? Or is it memories to do with the mother? I don't know, but I'm very intrigued. I imagine maybe the former. I think this is supposed to be quite a strange book. It says that it is a wickedly self-aware novel of family, memory, and possibility, just this side of the uncanny. Then I have a Brazilian novel that's been sent to me from Verso. This is Crooked Plough by Itamar Vieira Jr. and this is translated by Johnny Lorenz. This part of the blurb just really intrigued me, so see if it sucks you in too. It says, deep in the neglected hinterland of Brazil, two sisters find a mysterious knife beneath their grandmother's bed. Momentarily mystified by its power, they decide to taste its metal. The shuddering violence that follows marks their lives and binds them together forever. Sounds creepy and weird. Again, some of my favourite things. Speaking of favourite things, we have a collection of short stories. This involves magical realism and transformation. It's called The Naming of Moths by Tracy Fells. People and animals interchange their shapes. Story landscapes flit from fairy tale woods to urban homes. Here, love, hope and kindness weave between the realities of man's endless capacity for cruelty. Again, yes please. Oh my goodness, there's so many books that I'm very excited about and there's only so much time in this world. This is a 2024 title called The Lodgers by Holly Pester. I will insert the finished cover here because this is a proof and the end one does not look like that. Now I have read Holly's work before because she is a poet. I've enjoyed her poetry and this is her debut novel. This is a coming home novel and I'm a bit of a sucker for those. So this is about a woman who travels back to her childhood town and she's living in a soulless new build block of apartments overlooking her mother's house. I don't know if her mother is still there, but as she is looking down at her mother's house, she starts to think about her traumatic childhood and all of the years in between. It's been praised by Sheena Patel. So that excites me because I'm a fan. It's also one of my favourite books of this year. And as I said, I have enjoyed Holly's poetry in the past and I always quite like it, or am at least very intrigued by poets writing novels. So that is another one for the TBR. And then finally, this one looks great. This is National Dish Around the World in Search of Food, History and the Meaning of Home by Anja von Bremzen. And I think this would be a very good holiday gift for someone in your life. So this is her taking you around the world in food and looking at the importance of national dishes of countries. So we're looking at the rise of ramen, the legend of pizza. Finally, she returns to her home in Queens, New York for a bowl of Ukrainian borscht, a dish which has never felt more loaded or more precious. It says that as each nation's social and political identity is explored, so too is its palate. Rich in research, colourful characters and lively wit, National Dish peels back the layers of myth and misunderstanding around world cuisine, reassessing the pivotal role of food in our cultural heritage and identity. And I'm sure that this book is going to make me very, very hungry. So those are all the books I wanted to talk to you about today. Some favourite authors, some favourite themes, some favourite publishers. As I said, I will list all of the books in the description box down below. I would love to know if you have read any of these or if these are on your radar because some of them have only just come out or are about to come out. Let me know in a comment down below, and also let me know if there are any books coming out soon that you're excited about that I haven't mentioned here. If you are new to my channel and you enjoyed this video and you would like to subscribe, that would be lovely. If you like my channel and you would like to consider supporting me on Patreon, that would be very lovely indeed. Support over on Patreon allows me to keep creating free content for you on here and also funds my time making these videos accessible by creating captions and all of that good stuff. I will see you for another video next Sunday and I'm sending lots of love. Bye.